Why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the...
What's up, all? Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I posted a video, but I have been hard at work on Subzero, which I'm gonna reveal, I guess, again, like now, you know? So I'm gonna just talk about the bike a little bit. I've had a lot of questions about the bike since I posted it on IG and then obviously the short on YouTube. So I figured I'd just make a quick video about it. So, all right, this is Subzero. It is my medium bike or intermediate bike. You know, my novice bike is the Diddler. This is Subzero. And then my advanced bike, Lee has it right now. That is the turbo bike, that's Scorpion, which Scorpion will literally be, to a certain extent, a carbon copy of this. Literally. So, but I'll get to that at the end of the video if I remember. So, about the bike. It took me about, I know it's going to seem long, about 3 to 4 years to build this bike. Long story short, you know, just between my job and then, you know, being busy, because some things I can do myself, and then some things, you know, you have to depend on others. And then, of course, when you try to get something built, you know, the builder is extremely busy as well. And honestly, I like busy builders because that means they're putting out some decent work, you know? People wouldn't be coming back. They wouldn't be busy if they suck. So, and then the other thing is too, like, this is not your run-of-the-mill Busa, you know? So, well, to me anyways. So a little bit about the bike. You can see it has carbon fiber wheels. I went with the carbon fiber boost wheels. Initially, these were for my turbo build, but Rotobox told me that what I'm trying to do with my turbo bike, these probably wouldn't hold up. So then I had them. I tried to sell them. They didn't sell. In the process of that, I ended up buying an extra motor for my turbo build. And the whole bike came with the motor because the owner didn't pull the motor out. So I was like, okay, all right. So I got the whole bike. The bike sat, I tried to part it out. Nobody bought the parts. Nobody wanted anything. So over time, something that was just sitting, I got it in my mind to say, well, why don't I try to build, I'll make this a roll race bike. And that's what it is. So initially this bike was a Gen 1, like I just said. And overall, it is a Gen 1 frame, but it has the best of all 3 gens all wrapped up into one bike. That includes, you know, from bodywork to motor components, just everything. So when you look at the bike, this was a raggedy, rusted up Gen 1. But this bike was built legitimately somewhere buried in my channel, and then there's some videos that I didn't upload, but I show where this the frame was pulled, the bike was totally pulled apart, and then from the frame up, frame was modified, weight was cut off the frame. At the time, they didn't have all of those lightweight frames and all of that. That's $10,000, $20,000. So the best thing I could do to drop weight was get the frame modified. So that's what I did. And it just kind of snowballed from there. So I went with the boost wheels. I still had those because they didn't sell. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just put those wheels on this bike. The other thing was, these are not Busa wheels. These are R1 Rotobox boost wheels, because one of the things that people don't know is, or most people don't know, is you can kind of sort of, it's gotten better now, but you can kind of sort of cheat by putting, you know, the CBR, or what's more popular, the R1 wheels on Busas. The other thing I like about that, just like when I got my swing arm done by Evil Swing Arms for my Ninja H2, is I did the ZX10 thing, because one, you get a lightweight rotor, which is not readily available in most cases for a Busa or 14, and if you hit up Steven Chopperleg, you can get the lightweight, used to be steel, but I spoke to him, and then he came out with the aluminum variant, which is lighter. So I do like that because that's weight savings over, it's strong. It's not titanium, but it is lighter than the OEM. So I do like that. And it's aluminum. So that's a little bit about the wheels. I hit up Miss Brenda, Mr. Tony, Evil Swing Arms. This is a max 6 over arm because, and I told them I wanted it as light as possible, but I did not want what a lot of people like that 1 or 2 hole thing, and then it doesn't have, you know, what do they call it? The EGR special. I did not want that arm, but I wanted it to be just as light. So I got it as light as I could with as much adjustability as I thought I would need just in case. And then, you know, I got my chain guard here because I don't do anything without chain guards. It's just like a safety thing, you know. I do have the air tank because I have an air shifter. Now, I know a lot of people they go with the quick shifters and all of this. Air shifters can be finicky, but when you talk about kill times and everything else, you know, air shifters, you can't really miss with air shifters. So, and that's just in my experience, you know. What else is there? 530 pitch chain. Y'all already know how I feel about 520s. I mean, it's a 3D chain, so it's as light. Everything there is as light as I could have it, you know? So, but still, I mean, I'm a big guy. I'm assuming the bike's going to make a lot of power, a lot of torque. So I'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay, the bodywork. So I'll walk around the bodywork a little bit, kind of show y'all. I mean, even though, you know, the bodywork. So I have the OEM Velcro sticky type deals for this. This is still kind of loose. There are things that I have to tighten up on the bike. I do have titanium, but they're not black. So I ordered titanium that's black. So I'll be swapping this stuff out. But, so the bodywork, right? Let's see, the tank, sides, the front, the ram air, and the seat is all motor fix. And a little bit about it. I know this is probably gonna bore y'all, but some time ago I hit up, at the time it was Abdullah, at Motor Fix about Gen 3 bodywork. Well, we went back and forth and I shared, you know, some experiences, details on race bodywork. They were over there doing it. I have videos and stuff, the updates and all of that other stuff. And this is what they came up with. Now, this was some time ago. And what's cool about it is if you go to the website, you'll see my bike when I first mocked this, because I got the very first set. So when I first mocked it up, they actually put my bike on their website. So I think that's pretty cool. But one of the things, because I was being selfish, was the cutout for the clutch. And I figured, you know, whether you're a drag racer or a roll racer, when you're out at races and something's going on with the clutch, I think it's easier to have access. Even if it's still a stock clutch, you still have that cutout so you can access your clutch even faster, you know? For me, it's easy because I have a quick access cover. So there we have it, you know? So that's that. So primarily all the body work is from Motor Fix. I appreciate them. And right now they're working on a turbo variant where now the front end should look identical, but I won't have this ram air here because I'm doing the same body work for Scorpion. So when I said earlier in the video, it's going to be a carbon copy of this, I wasn't playing. Everything almost down to the red hoses. So I don't know why I got red hoses because this is Subzero. I should have got blue, but originally these hoses was for my turbo bike, but I had to rob Peter to pay Paul to hurry up and get the bike up, waiting on parts and stuff. The rear tail is not Motor Fix. This is a Carbon Inu or Carbon Tech Inu. I wanted to do something different. I was going to go Motor Fix or Kamikaze or something like that, but I do like the fact that they have recesses here. So if you have an aftermarket lightweight subframe or something like that, I like this because you can drill or tap or rivet or do something like that to be able to just mount the tail and it's sturdy versus the other stuff. because I'm actually going through an issue with my i1 Moto bodywork, specifically the tail, where it has no provisions to no recesses. So it's but that's a whole nother story. That's for the diddler. Anyways, I like this tail because I like how they have like, well, it's not a cutout, but you can see like the tail lights and stuff. I do like it, even though they're not in use. I mean, I have an LED here for weight savings, but even though they're not in use, I do like that. Now, normally, I mean, I put a drag max on this bike. The other tires that I usually use are the Pirelli Track Day. I mean, I swear by that tire. There's other tires out there that people use, but this will be my first time experiencing the drag max. Normally I use Pirelli stuff, and we'll see how it handles what this bike is. The shock is still OEM, but I mean, I have a Penske in the box over there, and then I have both of my M2 shocks. They both failed, and you know he's out of business or something. So I sent those off to LKG for suspension, the suspension guy, Cole, and he's working on both of them. So hopefully both of them will be fixed, and I will throw one of those on this bike. And then the Vortex rear sets, like I'm a Vortex dealer, so you know, obviously, you know, rear sets, chains, whatever, what have you. If you need it, I got you. Just hit me up. A lot of the titanium and stuff, there's a mixture. There's a lot of money of titanium on the bike. And then I'll get to the front. So a lot of this stuff, some of this stuff is not made anymore because I believe Unit 5 has stopped making some of this, but a lot of this stuff is Unit 5, like I just said. I got the carbon fiber clip-ons, which save weight, but they're kind of janky and finicky. I don't really fully trust them, but it is what it is. And then we can go to the front of the bike, and you'll see, like, I got the Holly dash. So this whole standalone was wired by Lee Tomlinson, and I got the 7-inch dash, the HP ECU, many sensors and unterminated harnesses and all of this stuff. Is very expensive. Now, Boost by Smiths makes a great plug and play max ECU deal, you know, but for this bike, I just wanted to kind of sort of like, you know, just to see, you know, the Gixxers are fast, so how fast can you get a Busa, you know? So the subframe and the fairing stay was done by JL Design, which I don't know what's going on with him, but it was done by him. And I bought carbon fiber and then basically cut this out to match the fairing stay. And then of course you have the dash kind of just like mounted on this plate. And that was just an effort to look nice, but still keep the weight down. And of course you can see the titanium and all of this stuff up there. So, one of the nice things that I like when I come out and look at the bike, one, this is finally almost totally complete. I'm about 90% because, you know, some of the things that I mentioned, but the black bolts, I think, kind of accentuate the bike. This fender is DME. It's their version of the Aero fender. I like it because, you know, if you have, it has the recesses already in there. So basically you just put it on your, you know, directly on there, and it fits the forks and you're good to go. Now, let me see, let me look in there. If you look in there, I do have one of those brackets or whatever, so, you know, you can kind of move the fender up and down and stuff. I don't know if you can see it, but, you know, but that's that. Now, I think that is probably the gist of what I'd like to say about the bike. You know, there's some things that I want to disclose, but of course, I mean, this is my version of a race bike, so I don't, you know, I still got to kind of remain competitive, even though most times I'm transparent. Well, so what I'll say is this. I'll start talking about some of the stuff that you can't see. So under the fairings and everything else, there is nitrous on the bike, right? Because I'm a fat person, and somehow I'm always getting propositioned to race by small people. So you had to get a little small shot just to make sure, just in case, because again, from the stroker bikes to the H2s to the person that put their child as a jockey on somebody's bike, I still want to somewhat be competitive. So the electronics, the fuel system on this bike is very, very big. I started off with something a little bit smaller and then realized that wasn't going to work, and Lee told me it wasn't going to work. So then we upgraded even more. And to put that into perspective, the fuel system that's on this bike now, I was going to put on my turbo bike. But I pulled it from the turbo bike because the turbo bike gets an even larger fuel system for other reasons. So, and I think that's it. The entire bike, outside of some steel that I left on the bike in certain places, I got, there's titanium throughout the bike, but I always tell my homies, when I talk to them, I'm not kidding. This bike is primarily titanium, aluminum, and carbon fiber. And while I can't really tell you how much this cost, I can say that the carbon fiber on the bike, if you add up, and I did it because I was out here drinking a beer and I just looked at it, I was like just thinking to myself, like, how much? There's about a little over $14,000 worth of carbon fiber on this bike. Then you get into the motor. Well, the motor almost failed on the dyno. Lee caught it, he rebuilt it. So I've technically built this motor twice. But at a minimum, you're gonna spend at least $10,000, at least that. The electronics, it depends, like I said, Boost by Smith has a great package for like plug and play, but for something custom like this, I mean, you talking, anywhere from $4,000 through $10,000, easy. Yeah, it's expensive, And then last but not least, I guess, I was talking to Soup H2 yesterday. This bike doesn't run on pump gas at all. So, and I mean, that's something, I could be transparent about that. It's not a pump gas bike at all. So if I want to go cruising down the street, if you want to call it that, I have to put race gas in the bike, some level of race gas in here. So outside of that, now I got to turn my attention towards some of the guys that did too much to my life last season. So, you got the Cartel, M1K guy, Two Wheel Monster, the Racing Mindset Cam. He said he drugged me around the round table. But then I got to throw in Cy, and then the other dude named Mike. I don't know about the H2 owner. I think his name is Jordan or something. I don't know about him. But there are certain people that I would like to get my lick back, because when I raced them the last time, I was on a stock bike. Now, when I raced two-wheel, I was on the H2. And while I feel like that was somewhat equal, I was supercharged, he wasn't. I feel like, since everybody knows I don't really mess with my H2 that much, what I will say in my mind and what this was done for, this bike will be much, much faster than my H2. So if everything remains constant and equal, then I would like to run that back. So I'll, you call somebody out, you go and see them. So at some point, I'm going to go see Two Wheel, sit beside his Jixer, and we're going to run it back. Outside of that, if you have any questions, I might start up my podcast again. So, you look at the bike, you got some questions about, I've weighed almost every single thing on this bike. I have it all in my pictures and stuff. I know what everything weighs. So I know some of you says, hey, how much this bike may weigh? It might be over 400 pounds. It could be under. I don't know. I don't have those expensive scales. What I can say, though, is when I look at the aggregate of most of all these Busa owners saying that their bikes are outside of Beater Busa, because his bike's different. But when people say their bikes are 360, 370, 380, I do sort of I kind of question that. Just because I know that when I look at those bikes from the outside looking in, they are nowhere near what this is. Now, granted, there are some heavier components on here for reliability and to support the overall build because of the torque and or power, but it shouldn't be, you know, that much of a difference. So anyways, that's enough of me babbling on. I hope y'all like the bike. I'll run around the bike one more time. And like, share, subscribe. And I'm pretty sure I cannot wait to start dialing this thing in so I can sit beside those who tried to play me last season. You know what? I almost forgot. I got to show you the gauges because I think this is pretty cool. I'm not going to turn the bike on because it's cold, but almost. Still like, share, subscribe. Watch this. So I got my little safety here. Lee be doing some gangster stuff, man. So you turn it on. And you would think that you got to pull in the clutch or something like that. Bike does nothing. Look at that, nothing. But check this out. Never saw this before. You got to hit the brake. Hit the brake. Check it out. Oh my God, Lord have mercy. Man, oh man. That's all I got, y'all. Peace.